Welcome to another episode of Stocks to Watch for exclusive one-on-one discussions with company leaders to help investors make informed decisions. I'm Ashley Berry, and we're welcoming Sam Lee, President and Chief Executive Officer of Northisle Copper and Gold. They're listed on the TSXV as NCX. They're also on a mission to become Canada's leading sustainable mineral resource company for the future. And they own the North Island project, which is one of the most promising copper and gold porphyry projects in Canada. Welcome, Sam. Excited to speak with you today.
Thank you very much, Ashley. I'm excited to be here.
Sure. Can you give us a brief overview of the North Island project and what makes it a high potential project? Perhaps you can walk us through your specific due diligence process to highlight the advantages you have uncovered there.
Sure. So the North Island project is a very large copper gold porphyry system located in British Columbia, Canada, which is seeking out to be the critical metals epicenter for the world. This is a very strong strategy that the provincial and the federal government has initiated not that long ago. And we obviously are exposed to some very important metals, including copper, gold, which are our two primary metals, and then molybdenum and rhodium, which are critical metals in the US and in London, the UK as well. So we are obviously exposed to metals that are entirely relevant in the electrification and decarbonization of this world. We're in a very safe jurisdiction that has historically been second to none in the world as it relates to developing these types of projects sustainably. And we're also quite well exposed to the longer term proposition around copper demand, which I believe everyone understands and knows that there's over $750 billion that needs to be spent over the next 10 years on copper projects just to reach our climate change goals of 1.5%, but also being quite relevant in today's market, being exposed to that gold component, a very significant gold component in our porphyry system that is clearly very attractive when gold prices are $2,000 plus as we see it today. So the opportunity is extremely rare and unique, and that's what attracted me to this opportunity myself. My background is I'm a metallurgist by training, but I spent the last 20 years at Canadian bank-owned institutions running their global mining practice, and I know that this cycle specifically is not only going to generate a tremendous amount of interest for these copper projects, for these critical metal projects. Gold will always be relevant as a store of value, but when these projects become evidenced by the market as being critical and absolutely important, then that's when the funnel becomes too small for all the investment dollars to come in. So we've identified this very early. We do have $1 billion net present value PEA, preliminary economic assessment, already defined at 8% discount rate. It's approximately a 19% IRR after tax, which yields approximately 100 billion pounds of copper and about 100,000 ounces of recoverable gold for approximately 22 years. That's our main project. That's our fundamental cornerstone value proposition, for which we're currently trading at about 0.06 times of that net asset value, so 6% of that net asset value. The other, I think, really important part of the strategy, if you're a growth-oriented investor as opposed to a value-oriented investor, is the Northwest Expo Zone, which is a separate discovery, just about 3 kilometers from our main project, where we've identified a very, very high-grade gold dominant intercept in that copper porphyry, approximately 270 gram per meter intercept. So in all respects, that is a high probability discovery for which we are looking to establish a significant resource of about 40 to 50 million tons by the end of this year, early next year. And then, of course, our third project is called Pemberton Hills, another 7 kilometers away. This is the buried porphyry system that is discovery at the discovery phase, which we also have drilled out this year and are focused on that. I do like to also point out that we just recently announced the discovery of a new project called Goodspeed, West Goodspeed, which is just 4 kilometers away, with grades that are currently higher than our established resource grades today. So a lot of levers to pull, a lot of options for our company, and we're progressing it thoughtfully.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of updates coming out of your company as well. Thank you so much for lending your expertise in this area, especially to our investors. I know you mentioned phase 2 of your drilling work. You also talked about the 3rd phase of your programs, and you also mentioned some of the key milestones in that phase. Is there a timeline you can share with us on those?
So phase 2 we released last week, and so this phase 2 predominantly focused on this high-grade gold zone within the porphyry called Northwest Expo that I mentioned. So we've released phase 2. The purpose of phase 2 was to expand and define the resource that we're setting out to obviously publish in Q1 of next year. We were happy to announce that we extended the strike from 480 meters to about 600 meters, so effectively the length of this zone by 25%, and we're obviously looking to extend it by even a greater margin as part of our phase 3. So that was a very positive outcome, and I think we've established all the drilling right now that's enabled us to define a resource of approximately 40 to 50 million tons within that area. So that would be a very positive achievement if we were to accomplish that by year end. The really important thing about this drilling, however, as part of this definition, was again, we hit this exceptional intercept about 130 meters of about 2.1 grams per ton. So that's the 270 gram meter intercept. And, you know, as I could say through my experiences advising some of the largest gold companies in the world, that is a high probability discovery intercept. And it happened within the porphyry system in the hydrothermal breccia, and it happened only 65 meters from surface. So we are right on the cusp of a major porphyry system that has potentially carrying extraordinary grades. Like this is 2.1 grams per ton. That's about 1.61 grams per ton gold and about 0.4% copper. That is an exceptionally high grade intercept, and that's all going to be part of coming to fruition as part of our resource. But I think more importantly, there was this, I guess, stimulated thesis that because we're so close to surface, because we have this exceptional grade within the porphyry, we should be looking to step out aggressively and trying to track, obviously, the stem or the core of where this porphyry system is. And that's what we've done as part of phase 3. That should come out well, we completed a few weeks ago, so the assay should come out sometime in late December, early January. And that really is focused on this higher grade zone at Northwest Expo. Today, or yesterday rather, we announced, as I said, this new discovery, which was only about 3 kilometers away, 5 kilometers away east from Northwest Expo. So this is a new discovery zone. We saw grades, as I said, that's higher than our current resource grade through very, very long intercepts over 150 meters. So we're extremely happy. We're in the porphyry zone, so these are continuous zones that don't disappear on you, and it's really incumbent on us to trace it and track it to get to, again, the heart of the system, which can be a very exciting proposition if we start connecting the dots between all of these discoveries we've had over the last year. So that was part of phase 2. Which we released, and then as part of phase 3, which should be released again sequentially starting end of this month, early next month, is our Pemberton Hills target, which is that large buried porphyry system. We've defined 14 holes for discovery. This is a tremendously significant system geologically because it exists underneath something called a lithocap, which is part of a porphyry system, things that you do not see in British Columbia. This is very unique to British Columbia because we're on the island. That's why this is I guess, separable from a lot of the geological events that happen in the rest of the province. And the relevance of that is that you see these massive lithocaps porphyry systems in Chile, Peru, places where you do get very high grade, very sort of significant discoveries. So we drilled 2 holes there, and we're awaiting assays results and proof of concept, and that should come out sometime in January as well. As part of all of this, we're also doing metallurgical test work on Northwest Expo, high-grade gold zone. Obviously, my background, I'm a metallurgist. There's a reasonably simple correlation between higher grades versus higher recoveries. These grades are about 5 to 6 times higher grade gold in the gold zone than our current resource, which can imply that we're expecting higher grades as a result from a recovery perspective. So we're going to be advancing that and should come out with those results in January. So lots of things to do. We just announced this morning a $5 million base financing, which will take us through to the phase 1 program in 2024. So this is fully financed, all the results that are pending, and certainly the program that's going to advance the thesis around this year's work now has all been funded for 2024. So, in an environment where junior companies are quite disparate, I think it is extremely important to identify companies that can fund their projects moving forward, which we can do in abundance.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of exciting developments coming out of your company, a lot on the horizon. If you could summarize the investment thesis for Northisle, I'd say in 3 short statements, what would it be, and why is this a stock to watch? How do you encourage investors to pay attention to your company?
Sure. So if you're a value investor, like I am, again with an investment banking background, like our chairman is, Dale Corman, who is just got inducted in the Canadian Hall of Fame, responsible for discovering and selling Penasquito for $1.2 billion to Gold Glamis. You look at what we're trading on a valuation perspective. And as I said, we're trading at 6% of our net asset value just for the big porphyry opportunity. If you're a growth investor, you look at what is the exploration success that they've had in the area and that they hopefully will continue to have. And so the answer to the first question is, well, we've just intersected one of the highest grade intersects in a gold zone for porphyry over the last 12 to 24 months. And so we're really, really close, we believe, to the stem and the source of where this is coming from. And we've already seen the higher grade propositions. And so now we're fully financed to go after it very aggressively in 2024 as it relates to this financing that we just announced today. And then thirdly, if you kind of are just one of these take a flyers, I really, really want to have exploration leverage, then I think Pemberton Hills is the bet, because that is potentially the system that could transform this company into a completely different company with exploration success. Think Filo, think large buried porphyry systems in Chile. I think that this is also what is extremely important is to understand that this is also funded and backstopped by 4 individuals that own approximately 40% of the company. One is our chairman, Dale Corman, who I mentioned, Mining Hall of Fame, owns approximately 11%. Michael Gentili, on a partially diluted basis, owns about 9.9%. Donald K. Johnson, who's a living legend on Bay Street, owns 9.9%, and another gentleman, 9.9%. Management owns, in total, insiders approximately 15%. So we have this ability to continually fund this project as we need it in a very responsible way, with not a lot of crazy dilution. As part of this offering today, we are going to introduce another leading major U.S. institutional shareholder, which, when we're able to announce it, it's going to be quite a significant progress as it relates to building out our institutional shareholder base. So couple that all together, we're one of the top performing stocks over the last 12 months, 24 months, 5 years and 10 years on the TSXV. And I think it's the result and the culmination of all of these things that I've talked about. You need extremely prospective projects, which I described. You need a tight capital structure, and you need supportive cornerstone shareholders and institutional shareholders that understand and are aligned with the vision that the management and the company has. So we're very lucky, and we're extremely excited for 2024.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of great news to round out 2023 and a lot, as I mentioned before, on the horizon. Sam Lee, President and Chief Executive Officer of Northisle Copper and Gold, listed again on the TSXV as NCX. Thank you so much for joining us here on Stocks to Watch. We look forward to sharing additional updates from your company with our audience. Thanks again, Sam.
Thank you very much, Ashley. My pleasure.